So this would technically be one of those episodes that I would label hearing the tones. I don't hear the tones that often. I have been hearing a lot of those messages about shots fired, but this is a little bit different. And since it's been a while since I've heard the tones, actually, I decided, well, let's go ahead and see what happens again by coming online. So I want to say thank you for joining me if you're joining me live. And I want to give a shout out to all my friends, family, loved ones, and those who I haven't even met in person yet, but who are still following me. And remind everybody, if you want to have a session, please feel free to go to my website at channel. Well, it's actually BrendaGervais.com. So in this moment, would I be considered a guide or a channel? When I hear those tones of love, whether or not you agree with them or not, I will say, God help America, right? This is the nation under God that is under attack by so many souls. And in essence, I just want to let you know that the voices of reason are evading our notice. We're starting to get more and more people who are in that mindset of, oh my gosh, she's going on live with no hair and makeup. That's where I'm at, people. When I hear the tones, I'm coming online. Okay, now I'm going to tell you there's a garage band energy that I want to acknowledge. That's the soul that I was dealing with for many years, in essence, as a person who identified as a certain psychological type. And that would be what? Well, I have Kevin Costner on the line at one point. I have had Kurt Cobain coming through in his vision of love for many of my viewers. These are those souls that are strong, independent, very troubled in their mindsets in some ways, right? But this is not all about the tragedy. So when there are people who are hearing the vision of love for us as a nation versus me as a person, sometimes those tones are for me in person. And I have explained that in another video. I have had to redo the outros for some of my videos. So things are going to be getting re-released so that there's a better integration going on. Now, the vision of love is very strong. How about we get down to business? Parent Trap. That's a movie about twins, and there's a vision of joy and hate in some people's minds, right? I hate when she comes on live because she's not looking the great. I see myself when I do that, but that's okay. This isn't necessarily about my friends or my family. Okay, this is about the people who are reaching out saying what's going on in the moment. I already received a message about a potential terrorist sort of shooting in the next week or two. Now, I'm already hearing things about East Africa. So I'm experimenting with this vision of me being able to go online and just bring through the guidance for those who are brave enough to come online, first of all, and sit with me. Okay, this isn't an advertisement for a session, but it will be at some point. Most people who honor my vision do so from afar. Okay, and I want to say thank you again for doing this vision. How many people want to know what it's like to hear a vision of suicide coming across your vision, right? Or across the screen? That's where I am sometimes with people, okay? And I have to remember to place those visions of trigger warnings for people. So if people were understanding how many people I deal with on a soul level, they would start to be amazed. Do you know how many quote celebrities I hear from in the vision of who they are in the moment? Not very many. Most are respectful of my privacy. And that's why I am also doing that vision for them. I do write down certain things for certain people. The soul of the soul will let me know when those visions are to be public. Okay? And that means, in essence, in their own vision, they know that those souls will tend to be more open to the idea of a public reading about who they are on the soul level versus who they are here in their minds, right? Most of them will identify with it very easily, and they will see the visions of love come through for their own hearts and their mindsets, right? The mindsets. Now, okay, so the mindset of another vision has come across my screen. It's the making of a guide. And so I want to talk to you about the nature of those who claim they are guides and those who say, I'm just here to bring through the visions of those around me. It's not always easy. So when I bring through the visions of love, like I did for my family tree members this morning, of a new awakening, okay, there's a new awakening happening in this country about guns and violence. And we're going to talk about that in a civilized manner in this Republican Congress at some point, correct? It's not about the denial of weapons or that they need to be banned, but in essence, what we're talking about is the fact that in hearts, we would say those weapons of mass destruction are the ones that are going to necessarily be targeted. And in our hearts, as societies start to come into those it's like the play-by-play of what happens when a bullet hits a body. I want everyone to look up an article about how the emergency room doctors see the damage from certain types of weaponry. And most weapons do not cause that kind of damage, but there are certain rifles that literally guarantee a person's death if they are practically hit anywhere in the torso, of course. It is that damaging. Now, those of you who would say this is not my cup of tea, I will say I honor that vision. When you start to hear how many people get shot in the face or in the mind, right? Okay. She has to hear from those souls who said, I choose death in a different way next time. Okay? The death of our hearts does not mean that our soul is not still creating in the vision of suicide with the family trees or the friends or the acquaintances. Most people will start to let go of the visions of how I passed. But those of notoriety are often held in the vision of my beauty was in my music or my acting or whatever talent they possessed. And they will say, I still create in that vision of it. Some of us are so skilled at hiding our suicides that others don't actually really know about it until there's an autopsy or something performed. That's that vision of drugs or alcohol and combining of such substances. And in essence, when we talk about what people are doing, I have to hear from my own family tree about those souls who took their lives, okay? And in essence, I want to honor everyone who has ever experienced that vision in their hearts. No matter who it is, it leaves it's like a toll on the heart. And we have to rise above that vision of death as a permanent state of awareness. Now, those of you who are in the vision of love for the it's like the eternal vision of love. That's the nature of it. If you vibrate in that vision of life continues on, just in a different format, you will start to see why people rise to the occasion. Why are we watching that vision of those who rise after they have, in essence, taken their own lives. And we want to acknowledge again the warning of triggers for anyone who has had someone in their heart, take their own life. That vision is very much of strength and guidance, okay? So it's not about telling you that there is an eternal being on the line. I am that eternal being. I combined with my own heart, my own soul, and my soul is able to tap into the nature of all. So that's why I'm able to bring through those beautiful visions of love for all souls. Now, when I am in my own heart and my own mind, right, I walk with my soul, but I do get guidance sometimes that's a little off. Okay, and I was indeed being told to cradle the hearts and souls of many in this world. But since my vision is not international in this vision at this point, I will say that the destructive nature of our souls, as we create more and more havoc in the minds of our loved ones, we would say honor those visions and say it is going to be okay. They get held in those higher vibrations based on their own belief systems, depending on what that is, and then they rise up into the vision of soul as a soul. So for me, what I did in my own process was to align myself with my own heart first. And that's the nature of it. I connect with so many souls because they are honoring of my light. There are people here who will claim I'm of the dark because I'm doing the work of many. Okay? But in essence, this is just to give you a little sneak peek about the kinds of visions we might be bringing through on Sunday's vision of Channel for the Soul. Because in essence, it's been a while. I had a horrific experience with my own heart at some point in the past 2 weeks. And it took me some time to get my bearings back about what it was I created and why. And those who know me know that when I say I had a rough time, it means it was really bad. But I am back and I'm waiting to acknowledge your souls and send out the beautiful blessings of a wonderful, wonderful weekend. Enjoy your beautiful, beautiful daughters and sons and say thank you for your own hearts for bringing them into this world. Take care and have a beautiful, beautiful evening.